Hey guys, welcome to Social Hour with Obtaining Social. I'm Amaya Dami, the founder and creator of Obtaining Social and Social Hour. I'm super excited. This is my first ever long form content that I will be doing with you guys. This is going to be specifically on YouTube, so if you're watching, let me know how you like it and please bear with me. I'm by myself right now and I chose to be by myself because I wanted to get so real and raw and open with you guys about how I started Obtaining Social, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've never told this story ever before, so I'm super excited to finally sit down. It's taken me 3.5 weeks to be able to get all this courage to be able to sit down with you guys and just tell you everything that has happened with Obtaining Social and how we are here today. And there is so many things that I was able to learn along the way that I cannot wait to share because I feel like it'll be genuinely so valuable for you guys to be able to know what to do, what not to do, and how to get into this position if you're wanting to start any kind of business. I have my phone here that is going to guide me with some things that I just want to talk about and point out. But as you can see, I probably shouldn't have my phone because it makes me maybe confused. I don't know. So let's just dive right into it. First, how are we here? Okay. I'm like, where should we even start genuinely? Let's just start with how I found out I love this. It all started when I was in high school actually, and I was in nursing. I feel like that is such a common denominator for a lot of women, is that we have this intuition to want to be nurturing and to help people. And so nursing just immediately was something that I saw myself getting drawn to. I was actually in a program for 2 years in my high school to become a CNA. At 17 and 18, I was learning everything there needed to be to become a nursing assistant. And that was quite a lot. It was hospice, it was long-term, short-term care. I spent my birthday, Halloween, literally every major holiday in a hospital caring for people in hospice and in long-term care and short-term care. That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever done in my entire life. And although it did turn me away from nursing by just seeing things inside and really not agreeing with it, it also made me have such a strong love for still nurturing people. And that's something that I've carried on with doing volunteering and something that I've always just want to be doing. But I knew that that wasn't my personal career path. Even though I wanted to get into pediatrics, I just knew I probably should take a step back and figure out what I genuinely love doing. It was actually funny because one of the projects in the CNA program, I was in like HOSA, I think it was called. There was like a competition and my teacher was like, you guys have to sign up if you want extra credit, blah, blah, blah. So I signed up, and the only thing that I signed up for, let me just say, all of my friends were signing up for like CPR. So they would be like competing in CPR and things like that. I signed up for the business plan and I didn't like realize the pieces that were coming together and what was pulling me to this. But basically I had to come up with like a whole business plan in the health realm. I was very passionate about my project. I got really excited. I got second in state, but then I ended up not going to compete. I don't remember why, probably because I was just like, cool, I'm fine knowing I'm second in state. Like that's it. That's all I needed to know. I didn't even do the certification because I was so determined to not be in nursing. Even though I did 2 years, I was like, no, I'm not taking the test. It's too much stress, not for me. After I graduated high school, my parents said that I needed to go to college, obviously, if I didn't have something going on right away, I guess. I don't know. I originally wanted to go to NAU because at the time I had a long-term relationship that I wanted to drop everything for and move to. Thankfully, I did not. And thankfully, my parents had a rule that if I got a scholarship, yes, you can go to any college you want. But if you don't, you're going to community college for 2 years. And that's just that. So my first day walking in was signing up for classes, you know, the orientation at Chandler Gilbert Community College. And we were signing up for our classes. And I was looking through all the certificates and things that they did have there. And the one that immediately stuck out to me was social media marketing certificate. Now, this is era 2019. So there wasn't really that much, I feel like, when it comes to jobs, and at least I wasn't hearing about people becoming social media managers or, you know, doing anything. But there was one influencer that I followed so much back then. Her name is Julia Havens, and she was actually the social media manager of Sephora, I believe. I made that connection pretty quick of like, oh wait, I know somebody who has this job. What does this job entail? And I was reading all of the classes that I would have to take, and it was like Intro to Social Media, Instagram 101, and I was like, wait a minute, I need to take this. Like, I'm going to take all of these classes to see if this is something that I really like, because I don't know. I don't really know what was going through my head, honestly, because I probably should have been in a lot more math classes and making that a priority, but I just didn't care. I was like, whatever, I'll do English later. I need to go and finish this social media marketing certificate. So I went full all in, let me tell you. I was taking 22 credits a semester, just ready to burn myself out, basically. But one of my last credits, I was able to rush that certificate so quick. And my last credit was getting an internship. So in December of 2019, I was searching up marketing agencies around me, seeing what everything was going on there. I found 2 marketing agencies near me that I applied for, and I actually ended up getting a job at one that was so close to my house. It was perfect, in the most stunning building, by the way. It really, like, I loved going to work because I was like, wow, like I'm in a sky rise, like in Gilbert. But I was like, wow, all the floor to ceiling windows, it was gorgeous. Like, definitely my goal one day is to have an office myself like that. But I really ate it up when I was there. It was my first ever, not 9 to 5. It was my first ever desk job, let's just say. That was so boring. Genuinely so boring. I was just organizing things, that to the point where I made a presentation for my boss and said, hey, would love to take on your social media. This is why I think you need to have it, especially because as a marketing agency, they were providing that as a service, and their social media was insanely horrible. And so is it for their clients, in my opinion. But men in marketing, they really know what to do. So now we're kind of in 2019, end of 2019, definitely in 2020. I was posting a lot of content on my personals. That was just something I loved doing in high school as well. It was just going out, taking pictures with my friends, going out to downtown, and just, having a whole photo shoot day. And I was actually growing my social medias a lot during this time in 2020. But with these little content days, tagging brands, I was getting brand deals. I was loving it. I was obsessed with the whole social media world. And then obviously the pandemic hit, COVID hit, March 2020. I was told basically just go home and we have no idea when you're going to come back. That was definitely the moment where I realized that I'm not going to put the faith of my life into somebody else's hands. And even if I do that, like, I know that I could provide myself that life way better than anybody else can. And I'm not just gonna, like, what would have happened if thankfully I did live at home and I still live with my parents because I was saving up and trying to eventually move out. But what would have happened if I didn't live at home and I didn't have family here and I didn't have another job? You're just gonna be like, okay, sorry. It's a very big moment for me to realize that if somebody's going to do it, it's got to be me. But day 1 of the lockdown, let me tell you, I was locked down. My parents were like, we are not going in. We are not coming out. You are staying here for the unforeseeable future. And I'm pretty sure, like, the night that the announcement was made, like, we were locked down a couple days before everyone else had to be locked down. But the night that the announcement was made, I remember being like genuinely so scared and shocked. But at the same time, I was like, so what are we going to do? And I actually created Obtaining Social, the Instagram account, back when I got my internship, because I just wanted to post little things of like, hey, I got an internship, and like have people follow me and, follow, I guess, my learnings. So that's where the name came from. It was just so random. I just was like, okay, I got to make an account. What's it going to be? Obtaining Social. And I really thought, I was like, that just makes so much sense. Like, that's what are the clients doing? They're obtaining social. So I was obsessed. I really loved it. And I was having a lot of fun posting on that account as well, just here and there. That night 1 of the lockdown, I was like, I'm going to see what I can do with this. So immediately what I knew I needed to do was get a lot of people to start talking about Obtaining Social. And I was wondering, how would I get that done? So I started offering iPhone graphics for people's wallpapers for free so that I could tag them, they'd repost me, so on to get some more followers and, really start to build my presence. Guys, it just like honestly came to me, and it just was out of pure passion and love for socials and graphics and social media, just everything all in one, that I just started sharing graphics. And then I started to realize, okay, why don't I try to do social media for a business? And so I found some of my favorite businesses. Gem Addict Workshop was the first that I DM'd. I will put the DM here. It's so cute. I'm like, actually, wait, maybe I should find the DM and read it to you guys, because it genuinely was so adorable. It's so adorable to like look back and see. Aw, we have so many DMs. We were like little besties. Okay. My first DM to the owner was April 11th, 2020. So now we're like almost a month into the COVID lockdown pandemic. So I texted her, I said, hey, Brenlin, I absolutely love your business and concept. I'm currently looking for a small business to create content for their socials account for free. Emphasis on the for free. When I see people talk about internships or things like that, they're always like, is it paid? Is it paid? It's like, sometimes you just gotta do the work for free. So I said, I love creating graphics, content like flat lays and close-ups, captions, branding, and more. I would love to talk to you more about this and see if there's anything you'd be interested in. And if not, I would still love to connect with you. And she said, hey, I'm so glad you reached out. I saw what you made for indie chords and I loved it. I'm always looking for new creative content for my business. What ideas do you have in mind? And so what she was talking about was one of the graphics that I made for a business. So I wasn't only making it for my friends. I started making it for companies of like mood boards, things like that. I'll try to throw it up here if I find it. But basically I immediately was like, I guess tomorrow was Easter. So I was really, really excited about this. So I sent her over saying like, hey, we could do a Zoom. What are you working on? Blah, blah, blah. And so she sent me her phone number, everything, and we started the conversation. From there, I had no idea what I was doing. I literally, thankfully, my dad is also an entrepreneur and has been for majority, if not more than half of his life. I was definitely able to lean on him throughout this of like, okay, what should I do here? What should I do there? And obviously as I've like grown my company, I've been able to thankfully back away from calling him every single day because I feel like he was probably so sick of it, but it's so fun for us. From there, we immediately clicked so fast and I fell in love with their company since the second I saw it. I really, really was passionate about helping them grow. And I got them TV appearances. We've done content shoots. We really killed it, like genuinely killed it. And I was able to learn what I liked about it. That was the whole point. Did I like this and am I good at it? Like I had to figure that out somehow. And that's how I figured it out. I loved creating content. I loved doing that whole everything for that brand. I started reaching out to even more companies and started creating a roster. My first ever plans were like $250. So if you missed out, you genuinely missed out because look where we are now. I will always remember those clients that joined on immediately without any question. But for $250, if somebody DM me for $250 to do my social media, I'm signing up. Maybe if they're in person, because I'd want to see what they're doing for $250. That's insane. And I actually just started to create a really good business. Like I started to have more clients in, even though it was a low rate, I started to have a lot of clients and I was starting to get really, really excited. Like, wow, like I was getting confidence in myself of I can actually do this. Like I need to do this. Like I love to do this. Since I thankfully was living at home, I was able to just do this full time. Like that was my full-time job. You know, I was sent home, but I also was still in college. I was also a nanny and a babysitter and a server and every single thing. I've always been a hard worker and I've always been obsessed with working. Like since the day I was 7 years old, I was working. And I know that that's probably kind of controversial, but not. During the summer, my family and I would go up to the lake every single weekend and there was a dock store there. And at literally 7 or 8 years old, I was in there working for tip money so that I could buy my own ice cream and my own treats at the end of the day. Genuinely one of the best times of my life until I got a bad review saying that it was against child labor laws on Yelp. But it's okay. That actually though, that was like the biggest heartbreak in my life. I genuinely loved working and have been since day one. Back to what I was saying, I really loved working for myself. I really was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with creating content, the content shoots, everything about it. I loved it. So when I finally got the email to come back to work, you could bet that I was not happy about it. But I was like, because I was excited, but also I wasn't, because I remember that a lot of people were still getting COVID. It was still a sticky situation. And I was like, why are we coming back? Like, I don't want to come back. Like, it was just drama, you know, per usual. From there, I put my 100% effort into figuring out how I can do just obtaining social. And I've had conversations with my parents later on about college and like about obtaining social. And I was saying, you know, I'm juggling so many things at once. And that's when I really realized, okay, I'm going to start taking one thing off my plate until I can finally have obtaining social as my 100% job and have it be my full-time gig. So I think first I let go. I'm like trying to think. So first I definitely let go of that marketing job because I was so bored. I was so done. I did not want to go to the office. I was like, no, you can't even give me more money or anything. I gotta go. And so left that job. And then I believe I stopped nannying because I had some fun nanny horror story around that time too. So I was like, I had the best nanny family during high school, and then I had the worst nanny family during college. It was insane. Crazy horror story. I was able to take that away. I took away the marketing job, and then I had serving, college, and obtaining social. That was the three things that I had left that I was kind of holding on to for a while. But I believe I officially left the serving job in November of 2020. So in November of 2020, I was making enough to be able to cover myself and my rent. And again, I had that long-term boyfriend that we will not get into. He has no airtime. I feel like I'm missing so many things. It's been 6 years, guys. You got to bear with me. That was huge for me though, because after I left the marketing agency, like that was my part-time job. And so I was doing good. I was actually killing it with my clients that I had. And that is why I slowly let one away, because I didn't want to just be like, okay, I'm going all in. Like I trust myself. Like as much as I love that, that's not sustainable, especially now in 2026. But yeah, back then I just moved out, which was a big goal of mine as well. Right after COVID, I feel like I had to go. After having my little 3-month at home with my family, I was like, bye, I'm gonna go live with my now ex-boyfriend. So then yeah, I had a serving job, and that was my final job. Like that was the only thing that was paying me money other than obtaining social. And I was always just like a little nervous. I kept it for like weekends and things like that. But at some point I ended up being like, okay, wait, I want to go to Cancun or something, Cabo, a big trip with my ex. And so that money just ended up being savings money for the trip. And I was good. Like I found it out how to have enough clients and figure out what that would look like. Obviously also back in 2020, rent was like so much cheaper than it is today, and I was splitting it. So it's like I only really needed to make $1,000. So I really was cutting it, but I wanted to figure it out. So I finally quit everything in November, and the only things I had left was college and OS. And at this point, I wasn't doing good in college. Like I just did not care about it anymore. I'm pretty sure I was in like statistics or something. I don't even know the classes I was in. I was so clocked out of college and so clocked into OS that I just honestly like forgot about my classes. And I finally had a conversation with my parents, and I said, I've really been thinking about this, and I've really think I need to go for this, that I have something big here that I really want to test out and see. And I can always go back to college, don't worry, but this feels right. And thankfully, like I said, my dad has been an entrepreneur for over half his life. My mom, on the other hand, she's always like, no, get your education, go to school, never depend on a man type of thing. So I was kind of nervous, but thankfully they were so beyond supportive, because I think they saw that drive and that love that I had of that constant everyday working, posting of, like, they saw it. They were like, okay, Maya, after I talked about it so much, they were like, yeah, I think this is a good idea for you too. So I dropped out of all of my classes in college around November of 2020 as well. So doing the math, what is that? April, May, June, July, August, September. So around 6, 7, genuinely those 6 to 7 months, I dropped out of my classes, and the only thing left I had is obtaining social. That is a big milestone for me that I actually still to this day celebrate, because I was 100% on my own, honestly, since I was, I guess, 19, but that I was 100% on my own. But I've been on my own. I feel like I've been always working since the day I was 16. I've not been the type to be like, Mom, can I have $20? Like, no. Since the day I was 16, I had not have gotten money like that from my parents. Like, obviously, it's like weird. They obviously like fed me and gave me a house, but you know what I mean? I bought my own first car. I'd have to buy gas, like all those things. I think the first car situation in itself is a lot for a 16-year-old to buy a 3,500 little Ford. What was it? A little Ford Escape. Not the cutest. Actually, I love it. So never mind. No shade on my Ford Escape. So I took the leap, and in November of 2020, I was officially free of everything and my own boss, made my own schedule, and I had to make my own life. And I've known that, and I've carried that, I think, very, very well since I was 19, doing this myself. I mean, obviously, look where we are now. It's insane. I could have never imagined this. But yeah, I really started taking it even more seriously. I think around that time I think I maybe had like 2,000 followers, nothing big. And I really, at that point, end of December, I really started to hit TikTok hard. And that was something that I thankfully jumped on really early. And if you saw any of those videos, or if you're from 2020, I love you because you've stuck with me since that, which is insane. I mean, it's cute. It's cute to look back at. But basically on TikTok, I was just teaching people social media, or also teaching people how to pursue social media as a career. I gained so many followers in this time span. It was like mind blowing. I was on such a high. I was so excited. I was just eager to have this community. I remember that trip that I was saving up for was in January. And that's when I was really popping off, that people were DMing me all the time. And I was on this trip, this like very romantic trip with my ex-boyfriend. And I was in bed answering all my DMs, making sure it's all answered, voice memoing you guys, talking to you guys in the DMs. I did not want one DM unanswered. I was so excited to talk to you. It was like all my new friends, which many of them I still am in contact with today. So if you are watching and you have like, you remember having a conversation, or if you were a social media manager or anything like that, just know, Emma, like I'm like, I can name people off. There's so many that I've made best friends online that we've never met, but we've stayed in touch. Becca, you know, like, I'm like, I hope you guys are watching this, but there's so many girls that I have had such a close connection and relationship with, because they also were starting to become social media managers too, because there was a big rise in this in 2020 because everyone's at home. So blew up on TikTok, and that really is what pushed me and gave, I feel like, me some authority, especially in Arizona. This market is insane. This is where the fun really begins. Obtaining social is big. People know about it. I take on my first interns. First round of interns was because I believe that a lot of people were asking me, hey, I want to be an intern, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like this is interesting. I'm 20 now. I just turned 20, and this like 25-year-old's reaching out to me to be an intern. Okay, sick. Like I genuinely looked at it as like, oh yes, like love that. But it was also a very hard thing for me to like understand, is like, wait, these people want to intern. Like I had to figure it all out, you know, it's just me. So I made a curriculum, I made tasks, I made everything. And like I said, it kind of just came to me easily, and thank goodness it did, because I don't know how it did, but it did, thankfully. And we worked together really, really well. And I had one intern in specific that I worked so well with. She was really streamlining things for me, and, you know, figuring out contracts and things that I just did not know about, because I was like just doing this by myself, I feel like, for so long. Or I was just doing this by myself, and it was just like a funny little silly thing that I was doing, but I realized how big of and how much potential it had, and I definitely took it very seriously. So don't want to undermine myself there. But yeah, this intern was very crucial to the beginning of obtaining social, at least where I needed. And I truly believe everybody comes into your life for a reason, either a blessing or a lesson. And this one was definitely a huge lesson. I actually met this intern through one of my serving jobs before, so I knew her. It wasn't like some random person or anything. Like I genuinely really liked her, and we had a really good friendship before this, but she just seemed so excited and passionate about obtaining social that I wanted her to work for me. And she didn't live in Arizona at the time, so she would have had to, you know, move maybe or whatever, but she was down. She was like, yes, I want to do it. I'm blah, 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 whatever. And so instead, I knew I'm just starting, you know, and I'm 20. Like, what am I going to be able to pay this 25-year-old or just anyone in general? So instead of paying her, I gave her 49% of the company. Trust me, I told you, I know it's a big lesson to learn. And actually, it's a lesson that I feel like a lot of business entrepreneurs, everyone kind of learns this at some point. Either don't work with friends, or don't give your company, or don't split a company with somebody, don't work with family. There's a lot of rules, and there's a reason why people say them, but sometimes you just got to learn it for yourself. And I did, and I needed to learn that for myself, because truthfully, I think I have a very big heart, and there's a lot of things that I would never ever think of even doing to somebody. And I just immediately am like, yeah, no, they're cool. I love them. You know, like the people that are in my life are people that I will fight and die for. Like I have a very strong loyalty for my people. And so I would expect that back, and, you know, whatever. Either way, we did this company as like founder and co-founder for what? Be like 8 months. It really wasn't that long until I started to fall into such a horrible, deep depression. Now, it's not just all on this, it's on many things. I was dating somebody at the time for now, at that point, I think like 5.5 years, who we were just so bad for each other, so toxic to each other, so horrible. I try to give him grace by saying that we both were, you know, young and dumb, and it was our first love, so whatever. But it got to a point where it was really bad. I was not eating. I was not happy. All I was doing was working and genuinely laying in bed because I could not get out of bed. I was so severely underweight. It was terrifying for my entire family whenever they would see me, to the point where they would have to text friends and family and say, do not comment about Amaya. We know, we're trying to help her. It was just like everyone knew, but I didn't want anyone to talk to me about it because I was like kind of feeling it, not gonna lie. But I was also I was just so, I think, blinded, you know, and I was really fucking stressed out. Genuinely. I was doing all of the work still, you know, with somebody who is supposed to be, you know, splitting that with me. You know, they also did some really good things too. It was just a very overall valuable lesson that I learned. I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend at the time, and 1 month later, my partner and I split, the intern slash co-founder or whatever, and that was nasty. It was quite nasty, actually, but thankfully it was quite quick and easy because they were so in the wrong. I was logged out of my accounts, passwords changed, myself and my entire family were blocked from Obtaining Social on Instagram and TikTok from the Obtaining Social account. But thankfully, I figured that one out because you cannot do that. That's literally insane. So yeah, but the next day we had a shoot. So it went, and that might just sound like very sporadic. It was that sporadic. But once again, I try to give that person grace because I was in such a disgusting place mentally and physically. I could not get up. Like I couldn't. And I think I was like late or something to a shoot. Like I didn't wake up on time or something, you know, and I come to the shoot and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. And a lot of the models from that era of Obtaining Social were like, holy shit, she would like yell at you. I don't even remember it because I was just so checked out. I went to the shoot, took all the pictures, went home, uploaded them, edited them all, sent them to the client. Like it was just, you know, I was still doing everything. So I almost had to do everything to keep my mind off of everything else. So it was pretty crazy because at one point in my life, it was just like this one major time where I was just so bad. I was so unhealthy. I was so unhappy. And then I broke up with my boyfriend. And then next month, my partner and I split. And so I was now living on my own in a 2-bedroom apartment that I was supposed to be splitting with 2 other people. Now it's just me. I have this huge payment on my back. And now I also have to navigate running Obtaining Social by myself. The next day we had a shoot. And I was freaking out because my partner, my ex-partner at the time with the business, was DMing every single business saying, I'm no longer there. I'm no longer there. Have fun. Good luck. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, sick. Like I'm going to have to figure this out at 9 p.m. on a Sunday right before a shoot with one of the biggest clients that we had. Thankfully, everyone saw that and was like, what is going on with her? And I was like, I have no idea. Let's give her grace. We don't know. I'm like, I wasn't supposed to spill the tea, so maybe if I cut things out, just know it got a little too hot tea in there. But this was the time because Margot was in one of those group chats and she saw all of the messages that were being sent at 9 p.m. And she sent me a text saying, hey, because actually Margot was getting interviewed by the partner behind my back. So that was another thing, you know, it was like putting in my calendar the wrong time for the meeting just so that I wouldn't be there. And then having this master plan of how to have me sell my company to her or her to buy me out or whatever it is. Like it was really crazy. It was a genuinely crazy time because this was my baby. Like, this was something I made during COVID, and I was like, damn, like somebody's really gonna do that and just try to take it all away from me. But my ass was already going on Instagram, making a second account and creating a new agency. I was like, all right, here we go. I guess let's restart, because I wasn't so deep into it yet. But Margot actually ended up texting me saying, hey, I've kind of see what's going on. I would still love to work for Obtaining Social. If you are, hiring at all, please let me know and I will be there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. You're on, because, she already got pre-vetted. She must be great. No jokes about it. Margot was the person that honestly like saved my life. Like, I was so down. I can't emphasize that enough. And she was able to bring me out of that. And we got so creative together. She was just so on it, and she was so organized, and she was so good, and she was so on time, and she was so creative, and we were such a perfect match. And I genuinely think we both needed each other at that time. We were with each other 24/7, genuinely, whether that was for work or personal life. I was always with Margot, and Margot and I were always together. We were hanging out, we were at parties, we were doing everything. It was just so perfect that we were able to lean on each other and get creative with each other and build something so beautiful with each other. And I'm forever in debt to Margot for that. She knows that as soon as we build out in the East Coast, I'm figuring out a way to get her there, and she will be president of Obtaining Social for real. But yeah, so Margot and I had the most fun time. I think together, our first major client a few months later was Magic Fashion Events, which we worked with them for 3 years. It was the most gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful journey ever, especially Margot. I was able to meet Lauren Bostic. We watched Ludacris perform, and we had to record content for Busta Rhymes. Like, it was so much fun. We had the best time doing our little outfits, making content, and that's what I think really is where it stood out. You could tell that I loved it, obviously, and we loved our jobs, but it also just, we were getting so creative with our campaigns and our shoots, and how can we level it up, and every single time making it better. It was just the best. Around this time, also, Wall Street Journal reached out and wanted to do an article on Obtaining Social and myself and this new era of jobs. And that was such a fun shoot, because actually Lexi joined in, and that was her first ever shoot that she did, because she was like apprenticing. We were seeing, oh, is she going to be able to work here? But Lexi was also one of my first ever interns that was there during all of that before in 21, 22. So Lexi has been here forever. And Lexi is another one of those girls that I'm just so beyond lucky that our paths even crossed, because she lived in Ohio and saw a TikTok for OS hiring interns, and she applied. And so she was part of the round. There was like 15 interns or something crazy. We will never do that again. Obviously, it was wild. But Lexi was also an intern, and then joined us at the Wall Street Journal shoot for Blunt Cases, which is now a client that we are working with again. So it's so much fun. And yeah, so I think that was 23 is when that happened. 22, 20, yeah, definitely 2023. And then Margot really helped, still, it was me, Margot, and Lexi for a few months, and it was genuinely like the best. We didn't have an office yet. I was really, really looking for an office at this time, but we were working out of my apartment's like office center. So if we weren't doing that, then we were working online, and if we weren't doing that, then we were at a shoot, and if we weren't doing that, we were at a coffee shop. And then Margot got such an awesome opportunity out in Chicago, and that girl loves New York. She loves Chicago. I knew this was going to happen at some point. We've always were open and honest with each other and talked about it all the time. And I always tell every single person that walks through these doors, thank you for, believing in me and believing my dream and believing in OS and the dream that we all have for Obtaining Social. That in itself will make me love you forever. I'll always have a special part in my heart for that when somebody comes in here with good intentions and genuinely loves Obtaining Social and wants to, make this as big as they humanly possibly can. Got a job, and at that same time I got an office, and it just felt so full circle. Like, I was healed. I feel like she was healed from what she was going through. And we're now at a place where we have OS has an office. She has this incredible job offer. Like, she can finally move to the East Coast. I can finally, keep building OS. And I have Lexi here. And I knew that Lexi was one of those, like, I knew that Lexi was genuinely, just like Margot, my perfect person to have on board. And so I knew she was leaving me in good hands, even though I'm the one that runs the company. I was like, oh, okay, like, you've got to do it. Like, and I told her, I love you. I want you to follow your dreams and follow your heart too. That's what happened. And she did that. And it's so amazing to see. Now she's actually starting her own brand too, which I am so obsessed with. I cannot wait to see it. I am going to be the first purchaser of whatever it is. Like, I know it's actually so cute. It's like a capsule wardrobe for day to night, to work out, everything. And you know me, I'm all for the basics. So check out Teeny the brand. That is Margot's brand that she's starting. And it's so awesome to watch her journey starting a brand of her own as well. After she left, it was Lexi and I. And, this is the part where I don't think it needs to be like super nitty gritty, because honestly, we just together have had to figure out obtaining social. We got the contracts figured out, we got the plans figured out, and it's always evolving. So I could go on and on and on about how many times it evolved with what different content we did, or sometimes we do management, sometimes we didn't do it. We are just truthfully figuring it out together. And I really love that about my team, is that we are all very open and honest with each other when somebody comes on that we're like, gotta go, or when there's like something that we're not enjoying doing. If there's a client that comes on that we're not vibing with, like, we all talk and we will make sure that we're all comfortable and obsessed with our jobs, because that's lame if you're not. Why would you, not, like, we can create whatever we want to create here at Obtaining Social. So I make sure that they know that. So yeah, huge moments, huge milestones, huge learnings were, having this major turning point in my life where I basically was getting broken up with and breaking up with everyone, like my ex and my partner, and having that refresh, that rebirth, and then Margot coming on and that being all so positive and just such an amazing experience. And then Lexi coming on, and that was amazing, her moving from Ohio to here, and like that just felt so perfect. Like I can't believe how perfect it is with Lexi. But yeah, we were really adding to the team. We were really leveling up our shoots. If you've seen some of them, we were doing like airplane shoots. We've had houseboat shoots. We were having so much fun, and we still are. It's like the best time. In 2024, I think that was when we really started to get a ton of clients. We were still going to Magic. It was a huge trip, like 6 times a year out of the earth we were going to Magic. So like every other month, it felt like we had to pack our bags and go to the biggest trip ever. It was so crazy. Like, the things that we've experienced together, all the girls that have been on that Magic trip with us, it has been such a fun time. It is literally nonstop. Like, we will go work and then we'll come home, change our outfits, get our Instagram pictures, go out to the clubs. We are out until like 3 a.m., do it all again. And it was so much fun. Definitely something that I've grown out of, which is good. I'm not going to be going out doing all that all the time. Like, that's just not me. We're more for finding peace and things that are more calm in life. At 2024, that's when we really started to grow the team, and that was something that I've always had on my vision board. I was like, build the team out, get full-time, get part-time. I really wanted to build that out, and I put emphasis on that so much so that I didn't realize that was the wrong path. Another learning that I had was interns in general. I had a very hard year this past year in 2025, coincidentally, the year of the snake. I felt that to the core. I brought on a couple interns, and that went south so quick. It's really hard when people copy your ideas, sure, but somebody you bring into your company and you trust right away, which is something that hurts, because it's not like I want to not trust people. It's just the fact of the amount of things that have happened through OS and over time, and being the owner rather than, a coworker. I'm the villain, and it's fine. It's whatever, but it sucks when you bring somebody in and you're so excited to see their growth and you really believe in them and you're like, yes, let's do this. Let's go all in together. And they totally just backstab you. That has been something I learned a lot during OS, specifically more so last year. I learned that a lot. And what I took from that is really focusing on, it does not matter how many people are at the team. It matters what your team is, that culture, the people, how they work. I've learned this year specifically is that we need to nurture the team that we have right now rather than bringing in more people. It's really nurturing us. And honestly, right now who we have, that team is one that I want to bring to the top, and that is a team that I will work for every single day, and that is a team that motivates me and makes me happy and makes me want to even do this and come to work and, you know, do everything. Our team, let me tell you, is never been stronger. That is like my girls. Those are my girls. I know that those are my girls through and through, and we've experienced so much together. We've grown so much together. We're all in our we're all 25, 26, having the best time of our lives, and we're all determined to make this big. Like, that is what I needed. That was one thing that I learned, is just really nurturing my girls that I currently have, and that is something I'm so happy to be able to bring into 2026 with OS. I guess like that's really the story of how Obtaining Social was created. Obtaining Social is a content agency. We create a month's worth of content in one day. I feel like it's like the new thing that every agency says, but that has been my thing since 2020. I have been creating content, 1 month's worth of content in a day. And that is something that we love doing. We're so good at doing. We create anything from lifestyle content to editorial content to UGC, you name it. It's so much fun. Our clients right now too, that was something that was huge learning lesson. I've had the most amazing clients, and I'm so grateful to have genuinely the best clients, and specifically like calling them out, J80, amazing client. That is a client that really gave us the full reign and said, do it. You've got it. We hit like 6-figure sales days with them. We had the most fun time with them. Another client, obviously Blunt Cases, they're back. They're working with us now. So if you want to model, definitely go be active on Obtaining Social. We have such cool clients, anything from products, services, you name it. We're really refining that though right now and figuring out what we really love doing. So we have a hair care brand, phone case brand, hydration brand, Modern Fuel. I love Modern Fuel, genuinely love them as people, love their mission, love the boys, love everything about Modern Fuel. I will be a stan for life. Just even the way that they talk to us and treat us, you would be shocked. Genuinely shocked. That was something that we learned last year too, is when to just say goodbye to a client, and then or even return payment to a client, just so that you could say, please don't ever talk to me again, because these people out here are crazy. They're vicious, especially when it comes to social media. They're wild, genuinely wild. It's insane. But thankfully now going into 2026, we have had actually the best lineup of clients, and I will not let anything fuck that up, because I've realized what it looks like when you don't have that. And now I feel the calm and ease of when I do have amazing clients. That was one thing. I was going to say one more thing. So obviously we create content for businesses, but my main goal is always creating community. And one thing that I think is just such an amazing opportunity, that genuinely I wish I had this opportunity a lot more, or just at all, is the modeling aspect. So with Obtaining Social, we work with anyone who wants to work with us. And that is strictly from you swiping on our Instagram stories if you're available and interested for a shoot. These shoots are not with signed models. Sometimes I guess maybe they are if a signed model does want to work with us, but we are not scouting models, and we're not working with signed models right now, because we want our community. I want our community. I've lived here in Arizona my entire life. I want to bring opportunities to you and to women and to men who are my age, older, younger, whatever. I want to bring you guys opportunities. You know, there's people out there that are already signed. They got opportunities. That's awesome. But I know that I myself, I'm obviously not a signed model. I'm not getting reached out to by agencies. I'm not getting whatever. I want those opportunities as well. And so I love the fact that I've been able to create multiple different opportunities with Obtaining Social, whether you want to model. A lot of our models have ended up becoming signed models, or walking fashion weeks, or walking swim weeks, or being on Netflix, or doing all these big things. Like, genuinely, our models are amazing. 2026 is going to genuinely be Obtaining Social's year, and just my year, Lexi's year, Maddie's year, and Taylor's year, and your year, because we have so many opportunities and different things that are coming to Obtaining Social. One of the biggest modeling agencies in Arizona is actually working with us next time around at our model casting call, where they are going to be there too, and they're going to be hosting it with us. Huge. We're going to one of the biggest, what is it called? I don't even know. What's it called? We're going to Harvard. Guys, what is it called? I literally don't know. We're going to Harvard, which is insane. Like, what? We're going to be going and presenting about Obtaining Social, and actually we're going to be launching an exclusive internship partnership with Harvard. Like, I genuinely can't make this up. I can't. I think it's truthfully just because of, where my actual heart is, and I love this. I love Obtaining Social. I love this brand. I love creating opportunities, and I love meeting new friends. I've been able to make so many friends through this. I actually met my fiance through one of my models. One of the models, she was like, oh yeah, let's be friends. We were friends for 6 months, and then she's like, oh, you have to meet Dominic. You have to meet my boyfriend's best friend. And I met him, and I fell in love. Like, how amazing is that? Like, personally, I guess I'm getting some great opportunities obviously as well, but that is just what I hope. And this past year, what we've been able to do is create even more events, do our first open model call and our first ever model casting. We also had a marketing mixer, and we also had a white elephant. We've been able to expand it so much and create so much community here. And I love it. That is genuinely what drives me at the end of the day, is hearing your guys' stories and your opportunities and what you've been able to do after working with Obtaining Social or just following Obtaining Social. I had somebody reach out to me telling me that they didn't know about social media, but same thing. I was their Julia Havens, where in 2020 they saw me talking about social media marketing, and now they're going to school for social media marketing and starting a social media agency. That to me brings me so much joy, because I love this job and I wouldn't trade my job for the world. I also want women and men, just everyone, but mainly women, especially young women, to be able to find something that they truly love. And obviously, you don't have to go to college. I'm going to go speak at Harvard, even though I dropped out of community college. Like, it's not the college that gets you in these doors. It's your perseverance, it's your drive, and it's just truthfully, if you love it and if you go after it, it's going to fall into place. That is a little spiel about Obtaining Social and myself a little bit. I'm excited to see where this is going to go, and I can't wait to get a little bit more comfortable with you guys and to be able to probably figure out my mic, because I really hope that mic was working this whole time. And if you hear a buzz, if you hear anything, thank you then for sticking this long with me. I am really excited for what's going to come. I would love to bring on guests, so I'm going to be poking around, seeing who I would want to bring on probably. But for the main part, this is going to be a good little hour of us being able to sit down, talk open and honestly. And if you have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments or in our DMs. I would love to answer them. Or if you have a company you want me to rebrand, you want me to talk about it, there's so many different ways that we could take this podcast, and appreciate you for listening. And I hope that this was a good listen while you're cleaning your room or something. Let me know anything that you guys want to know and see in the next one. And I can't wait to see you then. Bye, guys. Outfit, Ralph Lauren, Gap, and Motel Rocks. See you guys next Monday.